Hello, Foundry community. My name is Michael Leahy. I go by TyphonJS on the various Foundry Discord servers. Now, before we get started, I definitely want to let you guys know about my own Discord server, the TyphonJS Discord server. You can subscribe to it on the left here, and there'll be information down below in the description of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you get all sorts of updates on Forien's quest log and other modules that I developed for Foundry. And also, before we get started, I do want to kind of point out just the awesome music from Ivan Duch, tabletop RPG music. James's RPG art is the awesome backgrounds that we're taking a look at, and Epic Quest will have some of the battle maps as well. And I use a couple tokens from Forgotten Adventures. These are all content creators that I support. Now, Forien's quest log 077 has a couple, actually there's about 4 main things that we're going to go over. The major features include a quest tracker overhaul. The quest tracker has been completely overhauled. I think it is absolutely fantastic now. There's no more floating quest log and quest tracker. It's just one UI element. And I captured the best of the floating quest log features and the quest tracker as well. And it's just, it really is pretty amazing at this point. There's the ability to set a primary quest so that you and your users or players can just view one quest in the quest tracker. And it's very easy to select, the new primary quest. There's a new context menu in the quest log and the quest tracker. And there's a star icon on the quest details page. Now the next really great update is a set of macro compendiums that capture pretty much all the macro interaction that you can have with FQL. And so there's a GM macro compendium, and then there's a player macro compendium. By default, the GM macro compendium is hidden from your players and are only meant for usage by GM level users. But your players will have access to the player macro compendium. You're able to drag and drop these macros onto the hotbar, and it's really cool. They shows the state of the setting that they control as well, and we'll take a look at that. Now there are a couple TinyMCE fixes, like 076 really did a big overhaul on some TinyMCE support. But there's a couple fixes, like the default font now is 12 point, and when you're editing and you save it, the default font will appear correctly when you're viewing the quest. And there's some changes for line spacing as well that we'll take a look at. Now, the last big feature, and it's something it's neat, it's still kind of in the becoming or going to be more developed in the future, but it's theming support for FQL. There's support for Whetstone, and there is an emerging new theming module that I don't believe, it's not released yet, but it will be released soon, but there's already some support in FQL for it. And this module is called Lib Themer. And we'll take a look at that and just see what you can do with it. Now, I'm going to ask you one more time, consider subscribing to my Discord server and this YouTube channel. I'd love to keep in touch with you. I really appreciate getting feedback on Forien's quest log, and I'm able to get, this 077 release really, it was really great to get some feedback from various members of the community. I did a series of release candidates as well to really just make sure things are just as rock solid as they can be. So do definitely get in touch. I'm always interested in hearing ideas, and the community has really been able to guide some of the process of this continuing work that I've been able to do on Forien's quest log, just to make it as best as it can be. And thanks again. Let's just dig in. I'm excited. Let's go take a look at things. We're gonna first take a look at the improved quest tracker. But at the same time, we're also going to take a look at the introduction of the macro compendiums, because there are a couple macros that control the quest tracker. Now, the floating quest log, which was previously opened by this icon over here on the left, no longer, it just opens the quest tracker. And if there's no quests if we pull up the quest log and there's no in progress quests, when you hit this icon, it'll say quest tracker is enabled, but there are no in progress quests currently. So there does have to have, you do have to have an in progress quest. Let's make this guy in progress or active, and you can see the quest tracker pops up over here. Now you'll notice it looks like a normal pop-up or pop-out app or application, but when you hit escape, it doesn't close, so it always remains open. I suppose first off here, we're gonna just make all these available quests in progress. So if we look at the in progress tag, we'll see that we have a whole bunch of quests. Now the quest tracker is pretty awesome. There is UI management in the sense that you can't have it overlap the sidebar. It can't be dragged over the sidebar. It can't be dragged over to conceal the hotbar. A couple cool things too. There's also UI management. So if you resize the window, the quest tracker never gets lost. Now, one of the great aspects of the new quest tracker is that it can snap to the sidebar. So if I pull it up over here, and you can see it wiggling back and forth. When you let go, it'll snap to the sidebar, and now that you can resize the window, it'll stay snapped. You can collapse the sidebar, and it'll also stay connected to it. Now, the next feature of the quest tracker that is pretty amazing. Actually, it was a suggestion that came in from one of the members of my TyphonJS Discord server. I have to give thanks to Ikebado for recommending or suggesting this feature, and that is the ability to set a primary quest such that it is the only quest that appears in the quest tracker. It makes it really easy for players to stay on target. And again, over here on the right, we have a player view. And we're going to open up the quest tracker, and you can see all these in-progress quests. Like a player might not realize which one is currently being worked on. But you can now, on the actual quest details page, there's a little star over here. That'll mark the in-progress quest, as this is the one we're working on. But if you hit this little star icon over here in the quest tracker, that's the only quest that it's going to show. And likewise, we can do that over here on the GM side. And not only can you make these modifications, you can right-click. So if we right-click, a context menu will pop up. You'll have a couple options here, but set, unset as primary quest. You can see here I just selected the Herbalist Hut to be the primary quest, and it displays up here as the only quest. Now, if you're the GM, you might also have things expanded here. And again, this is separate. Players can choose this option whenever they want. But you can also get that context menu from right-clicking on any of these quests in the actual quest tracker. So you can set, unset right here in the quest tracker. Now, I do kind of want to talk about a couple of these other options while we have the context menu up. And that is being able to directly just copy the entity link. So this is the link. Let me see here. Let me just pull up. Let's pull up. Which one doesn't have a lot of text? This one has a little bit of text. Doesn't really matter. We'll go into the edit mode. And if you hit Control V, you have the quest link for it. And this will hotlink it anywhere that you can drop in text, like user bios or whatever, anything like that. Now, the other one for the context menu is copy quest ID. And that just copies the ID. Like if you're creating macros, and in the future, I will certainly have a lot more information about advanced macros you can create. But often you need the quest ID to pull up the quests when you're working with particular quests. This just makes it very easy to copy it and be able to just hit Control V again and paste it in like to your macro. So that's just useful functionality found in the context menu when you right click here and right click in the quest tracker. So I do want to take a quick look and show you guys the settings. So if we go into configure settings, module settings, and we look at the FQL settings, you won't see show quest tracker here anymore. You'll see a new one, quest tracker resizable. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So the only way to open up the quest tracker is through this button here. But, I did discuss about macro compendiums, and we're going to take a look at the player macro compendiums right now. Now, the macro compendiums for FQL are found under the macro section of the compendium tab, and the player macros are only accessible to the players. By default, the GM macros are hidden, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later. But there are 3 macros that players can use to control FQL. And you're able to open the quest log, and again, you can drag and drop these down to the hotbar and enable the quest tracker and quest tracker resizable. So we're going to look at like the 2 modes of the quest tracker here just in a moment. You have the automatic resizing, which is really, really nice, but some members of the community said I really don't want to have something that large on my screen. Now you can use the primary quest aspect to reduce the quest tracker size, but you can also resize the quest tracker, and that's only accessible. Again, you can actually get to it by the configure settings here, and you can select and unselect it. So I've selected it, but now look at this macro down here. It's really cool. The macros actually keep the state. It's off. We're going to turn it on, and you can see the macro has a check mark by it now. So there is a macro to make the quest tracker resizable or not. And so you can see here when it's docked, we have the quest tracker docked. You only can move it up and down because you can't move it left or right while it's docked. But if you undock it, you can make it larger from a width perspective, and you can dock it again. You can also, if you only want the quest tracker to take up so much space, again, you can size it however you want. Now, I do recommend things to be in the automatic sizing. I think it's a much nicer experience, especially if the primary quest selection, to be able to filter things so that it doesn't just take up a lot of space if you have a lot of in-progress quests. But it's up to you. You have this new setting to be able to make the quest tracker into a resizable window to size it however you want. But the other macro that you can drop into the hotbar is enable quest tracker, and it's just kind of nice, just so that you don't have to go over here and select the notes and hit this icon. Now this icon will only show the quest tracker. It won't hide the quest tracker. So with this particular macro here, you can hit enable and unenable, and you can see the state of the button changes. And it's just a really nice way to be able to quickly hide and show the quest tracker. I know there's some people that said, hey, I don't want this overlay on all the time. This is something awesome that if you still want to use the quest tracker, but you want to be able to show it and hide it, and also I should point out that there's a close button on the quest tracker itself. So I really listened to a lot of community feedback, and I think I got the quest tracker to where it's really, really functional now. And you can make it get out of the way if you want it to get out of the way. And if you want to show it really quickly, you can show it. Definitely check out those macro compendiums. Now, these are the player macro compendiums. And I should just say there's one more for opening the quest log. Again, it's just a nice, handy functionality so that you don't have to go over here and select the notes tab. You could be on a different tab on the menu bar over here and just hit this FQL button and just easily show the quest log, and then hide and show the quest tracker, and also just make the quest tracker resizable or not just by this button here instead of having to go into the settings. So those are the player macros, and a lot of again, this is the new quest tracker. I think it is a great experience. If you have any more suggestions, I absolutely would love to hear them. But we're going to take a look at the macro compendiums now. So indeed, the second great feature of the 077 release of Forien's quest log are the two macro compendiums for controlling FQL. You hit the compendium tab, they'll be down here, FQL macros GM, FQL macros player. Now we've already looked at the player macros, which we've dropped into the hotbar over here, but let's just take a quick look again. Enable quest tracker, open quest log, and quest tracker resizable. Now, the GM macros are pretty much the settings that you can set in the module settings, but there's just quick access to them. I've already drag and dropped them all over to the hotbar here. So if we go into the settings, you can see allow player reward dragging. We can just quickly select it here. Now it won't change in the settings, but we're turning it on and off. But here, if we actually hit the setting and unselect it, and then hit save, you'll see that it turns off here in the macro hotbar. So what we're going to take a look at now are, so we have allow players to accept quests, allow players to create quests, allow trusted player quest editing, count hidden tasks. Now the reason I wanted the player up over here, we can see that they have FQL open, and this is the really cool one for like hiding and showing FQL. We can hit this button here and it completely hides FQL from the player and reshows it. So this is something that before, again, you'd have to select in the module settings, and but now it's just got a really quick macro. The next one, run DB migration. This will run all of the DB migration. Let's say you've installed FQL on a new server and you've opened up your world and it's already run DB migration. You can just you can run it anytime with this macro. So you can see I just pressed it and it just ran the DB migration. Now this one is really cool. If you're putting in a lot of abstract rewards and you want a particular reward image to be shown, and you don't want to go through and like select the image every single time, let's open up a quest here. So let's see here. Let me just find this one here. And when you're creating an abstract reward, it'll just have this like default icon here. And if you're putting in a lot of abstract rewards and they're similar, you can change the default image that gets displayed, and it'll open up the the image browser here. And whether you go through, I'll just go to worlds. Got a lot of different worlds. Actually, I'll go to core data here. Oh, nope. User data, systems. Oops. And go to icons, items. I don't know, jewelry. I'll just pick a random image here. So when you actually create a new abstract image, you can see now that it actually has the new image. So that if you're putting in a lot of like different abstract rewards and they're same, or you want to change this default image that pops up so that you don't have to select it again individually, you can definitely use this macro here to set a default. Now, show reward drop notifications, again, is just it's an option in the settings that will just have a notification when a player drags and drops a reward from the quest. But let's just take a look here. We're gonna unselect all these different settings. And when we hit save changes here, you'll notice all the icons, all the it updates the state of the enabled or not. So it's just very handy to have these GM macros available that you can use on the hotbar. In the 0.76 release of Forien's quest log, a lot of work went into improving TinyMCE support and providing a lot of extra styling options. Now, I almost got everything right, but one thing that I overlooked was the default font when between editing mode and viewing mode. So let's open up a quest here. If you want to learn how to apply these backgrounds, check out the 0.76 Forien's quest log video. I'll go. I definitely go over all that. But now in this version, 0.77, the default text size is going to be a little bit smaller at 12 point. So when you actually save here now, and I'll just hit the save button, you can see it's the same size as the default editing. In 0.76, things were a little bit larger, and the default font didn't match the viewing size. But a thing to show over here, there was a request to have several smaller fonts, so even smaller at 10 point, which you can see here. And there's 12, 13, 14, 15, so there's a plethora of different sizes at the smaller side of the spectrum. So I definitely want to show line spacing is now in the, so let's put in some text here. All right, I'll just copy and paste this here. So line spacing, if we go back up here and we select this paragraph, the default line spacing is set to 1.2. Now you get to line spacing now by this this icon right here. Now if we select, and if we select 2, that's like double spaced. If we select 1.52, it's like 1.5 space. And if we select 1, you'll notice how it's starting to get very close to overlapping. But if we actually look at it, it's not quite overlapping yet. So for selecting line spacing, you just want to go to this icon right here, and you have a lot more flexibility, and it works correctly. One other little hint, I know if you open up over here and you go to the help section here, it says Shift Enter opens up a pop-up menu. But one really helpful thing to understand with TinyMCE, Shift Enter, if you go Enter here and you go to it, it creates a new paragraph which has this margin spacing. But if you want to actually just go down to a new line, just hit Shift Enter, and that puts in a break, so that you can get the proper line spacing rather than getting a new paragraph. So that's just a helpful thing to know with TinyMCE. And by doing that, line spacing will work correctly with these shorter lines, basically. So that's it really for the TinyMCE updates. It just really, again, brings home all of the cool changes done in 0.76. and corrects just a couple of small mistakes. I do want to point out just a couple changes in the quest log. As you can see over here, we now have some colored icons for completing and failing the quest. Now, a member of the Foundry community asked, and it certainly made a lot of sense, when you complete a quest previously, so we'll complete that one and we'll fail that one. So if we go over to the completed tab, there was no way to switch a completed quest to a failed quest unless you went it back to setting inactive, active, and then selecting failed. but completed quests can be turned into failed quests by just hitting this X button. So now you can see over here we have 2 quests in the failed section. And again, failed quests can be turned into completed quests by just hitting this button. So there's no need to set it inactive, active, go find it, and then switch the state from failed to completed, or like vice versa, basically. So that's just like a handy button that was added to the quest log for completed and failed quests. A final improvement that is started with 0.77, and I'm sure there'll be future updates as well, is theming support for FQL. Now, Whetstone is a theming module that's been around for a while. I believe there's going to be a little bit more activity with it in the future. Hopefully, it looks like there might be a little bit more activity. But we're going to talk about Whetstone and a brand new theming module called Lib Themer. Now, Lib Themer isn't released yet, but I'm going to show off the FQL support for it. So let's first take a look at Whetstone. Now, I have the Spearmint theme and the Ocean Blue theme installed. So the Ocean Blue theme is the default theme, and you could just see that FQL adopts the theme, and it just shows up correctly with the different theme support of Whetstone, including the dynamic tabs too, which is great. So let's go over to the theme options here, and I'm going to select the Spearmint theme. Now, the dynamic tabs won't update. You do have to show and hide FQL. Not that you're going to be switching themes dynamically while you're in a middle of a game or anything like that. But you can just see it does properly work with Whetstone, and I do hope there is going to be more work on this theming module in the future. That would be fantastic. Now, the next theming module that we're going to take a look at is a new one. It's still under active beta development, and that one is called Lib Themer. Now, Lib Themer is interesting because it allows you to add, specific module support, and I've done that for the quest tracker, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So let me go. So Lib Themer, you have to go into module settings. Oh, let me enable it first. And you should also install lib color settings. It looks like I already had some default themes here set up for the quest tracker. But let's open up the... Oops, we have to go to configure settings, module settings, open up theming menu. Now, there's a couple different presets, and we're just going to take a look here at the Cobalt theme. That's going to change all of the Foundry look and feel. But you can see that FQL will adopt the different themes that are available through Lib Themer. The nice thing about Lib Themer is that, it's pretty dynamic, and it's pretty cool here. So let's take a look at let's find one of the colors for the sheet. Actually, we have to do Foundry. No, let's see, Lib Themer settings, title bar, and let's see here. Oh yeah, you can just see, like, when you change things in Lib Themer, it's gonna like update the whole GUI like interactively. It's pretty neat. I am not gonna save that though. And go back to there. So there's this Forien's quest log tab, and right now it's mainly to set the styles for the quest tracker. So you can change the text color to be whatever you want. Let's see here. Let's pick a blue or purple. Why not? And the quest tracker background, right now it's transparent so that it, but if we go up to red, oh, we have to bring it up a little bit. It's applying the color to the background image. And you can make it more transparent with the alpha slider here. Now, if we wanted to apply a completely different background image, we can, but we can also change the entity link color. Let's see here if I open up this guy here. Yeah, so you see this Medj person? You can see how we can change the color of the actual entity links. So there was one user that requested, I want to make that like transparent or like be very not stand out necessarily. And you can definitely do that with this Lib Themer modification. Now, hopefully Lib Themer will be out in a couple weeks. I'm not too sure the exact timing of it, but FQL is one of the first modules to provide support for it. Now, we're going to take just so the last setting here is actually being able to select a different background image. Now, if we go to the core data, and I believe UI, and let's just pick the parchment background. So you can see how you can play the different backgrounds. I mean, obviously this is not great. We're going to have to change our text colors a little bit to make them look good, but it's just neat. It's just a neat theming system that will be supported shortly. And yeah, so that's how the way. Oh, and you do have to hit save settings in the Lib Themer dialog for it to take, and it didn't take here, so it just reverted back to the previous settings. I hope this quality of life update for Forien's quest log makes your campaigns great. Do join my Discord server and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Happy questing.